Still talking about inverse trig functions. So we're asked to find a trigonometric value, find each value, round to the nearest hundredth. But let's look at what's really going on here. We're asked to find the sine of an angle. And that angle is being expressed in terms of an inverse trig function. In this case, and the one here, the first one is the inverse tangent of 3/8. That's going to give us an angle measure, and since we're dealing with a tangent, unless we're given any other restriction into the domain, that is either going to be in the first or fourth quadrant because the tangent runs from -pi/2 to 2, and so does the sine for that matter. And then here in the second one, we've got the same thing. We're asked to find the cosine of an angle. And that angle is being expressed to us as the arc cosine of -√2/2, which should tell me that this has something to do with 45 degrees. It's negative. Cosine, without any other information on the domain, is going to run from 0 to pi. And so therefore, we should be able to do that. So we're going to go to the calculator and calculate these. All right, well, here we are on the calculator. We're going to find these trig values. I guess I better check my mode. I'm in degree mode. I really wasn't told whether we're doing radians or degrees, but I think it's going to be degrees. Well, I know it is for that matter, but my clue is just a little information I see there in the textbook. So I'm going to stick with the degree mode. And so first we're going to find I'll quit out of here. We're going to find the sine of so I hit sine, inverse tangent, second tangent of 3/8, 3 divided by 8. And we're going to close our parentheses and hit enter. And we'll round to the nearest hundredth, so that would be 0.35. Now, just as an aside, just curious, because that's the sine of an angle. I'm just kind of curious, I'm not asked, what is the angle measure of the inverse tangent of 3/8? So inverse tan of 3/8. So that's 20, if I rounded that to the nearest degree, 21 degrees. Okay. So it's the sine, let's say, of 21 degrees. And let's see if that checks out. So I'm going to hit sine, and then I'm going to hit second answer. So I'm going to pull in that 20.55 second answer and hit enter. And Shazam, it's the same thing. 0.3511 or 0.35. All right, let's do the second one where we're doing the cosine of the arc sine, which is the inverse cosine. So we're defining the cosine of this angle, the inverse cosine of -√2 divided by 2 over 2. And what's the cosine of that? -0. Well, if we round it to the nearest hundredth, -0.1. And I'm just curious again about what the cosine of -√2 over 2 is. I think I pretty well know from the unit circle, but just for fun, we ain't got nothing else to do, right? Well, better clear it. Inverse cosine of -√2 divided by 2. 135 degrees, that would make sense. Inverse cosine, without giving any other information about the restriction on the domain, is either in the first or second quadrant. Square root of 2 over 2 tells me we're some kind of multiple of 45 degrees. 135 would fit that bill. It's in the second quadrant. Shazam.